So from the Yang Chuan point here, down to the Yang Chuan point there, creates that exchange. I'm Grant Kleiman from Darsana Martial Arts. Welcome to the channel. If you enjoy this content, please like and subscribe. Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you'd like to support this channel or join our online academy, there are links in the description. All right, let's get to the lesson. A common misunderstanding in Tai Chi is that we drive power from the legs. We move by driving off the ground with the legs. And this is understandable. In the classics, it says that the power is rooted in the feet. It rises up the legs, is steered by the waist, and expressed in the hand. It sounds like the idea is that we push off the ground with the legs, we rotate the body, and we express through the hands. That is the essential way that most martial arts and most sports generate their power. But it's not precisely what we're doing in Tai Chi. What we want to do instead is move from inside the qual and rotate the dantian. So of course, alignment and release is always important. Without that, none of this really functions. But what we're actually doing is opening up inside the hip, which draws the force of gravity's pull on our mass down through the hip, through the back of the knee and the Wei Zhong point, down through the Yang Chuan point, turns us in this direction, and that's what loads up the force. It's the opposite of pushing off of this leg. It's more like this leg is emptying, like what was dense and loaded up in this foot now comes up and then becomes dense and loaded up into that foot. There's this exchange of yin and yang, of substantial and insubstantial. And then when I rotate the other way, that exchange goes the other way. And of course, this affects the upper body. It's actually even more complicated than that because there are spirals of force moving up and down, kind of like a double helix around both legs and through the body. But in a simpler understanding, this leg is filling and this leg is emptying. So it isn't that I push off the ground to move myself in this direction, but rather my body is aligned, I'm open, I sink down, open the internal hip. By open, I mean I create space, then the body moves into that space, which is why the quad folds, which is why I move downward towards this foot because this is where the force is pulling. Why I move outward from this foot, the force is coming out of this foot in this way and down into this one. And for example, if I let this exchange that's happening between the legs express through the body, it might express something like cloud hands. But I want you to notice that I'm not pushing off this leg. I am rotating, and that will actually exchange the weight for me. And that exchange will spiral around the area of the dantian, the area of the Ming Man. It will work its way up through the body, spiral outward along the arms into the hands. So the exchange of weight and the expression of power doesn't come from pushing off the ground. It comes from the fact that I've sunk down through this leg, and this has loaded the leg. The muscles, the connective tissue around the joints and throughout the muscles and throughout the leg become loaded almost like a spring, and the ground itself as well, and the foot all loads up by sinking into it. So there's a potential force there. Then when I rotate, it's almost like pulling the trigger to let that force come out. And then my heaviness, my weight, is going to sink into the opposite leg as that happens, so that any obstructive weight or mass that force would have had to carry gets out of the way and empties into this leg to let it then come out through the hands without having to move that heaviness along with it. And this makes it a much cleaner expression of force. It is rooted in the foot, it does rise to the leg, it is steered by the waist, and it does get expressed by the hand, but not because I'm pushing off the ground, right? That's not what's going on. It's because I'm letting that force come out from the ground, through the leg, and then at the same time draining my weight down in through this foot into the ground. So from the Yang Chuan point here down to the Yang Chuan point there creates that exchange. So we don't drive from the ground. We rotate the dantian and let the force exchange through the legs and through the two sides of the body. And this is done through the quad, through the yao, through the waist, right? Those areas need to be soft. And then when we exchange the pressure by rotating the dantian, that moves the power up and down from the feet to the hands for us without driving off the ground.